Update. We had been seeing each other for a while now and sleeping together. It was a case of let's just be friends, as I don't see you in that way anymore, rather than a first-time meeting. Story 1. My son drove 9 hours to see his girlfriend, and she broke up with him when he arrived. It wasn't a surprise. She knew he was coming. She just waited until he arrived to give him the bad news. I guess she thought it would be better to do it in person. He didn't agree. Story 2. Broke up a month ago with my girlfriend, but just today collected all my belongings from her place. Her mother was there and they were trying to persuade me to stay. I was not even considering because she crossed all the boundaries I set. Yet, it was very unpleasant and tense, having to explain yourself to your girlfriend's mother. So I packed my stuff, left a lot also, got into the car, drove off, got into an emotional breakdown on the road, cried in the car. Relationships are the hardest thing ever. Story 3. Had a job interview that went great. The manager said he would consider me for other positions in the same department. The company posted those positions online today. Story 4. I told a friend who is a girl that I was going to go up to Seattle to visit a friend and be at their wedding. She's single and kind of hypes up that she wants to come with me and be my date to this wedding. Kind of sounds like fun, so I'm digging it. Then she asks for airfare. Okay, you're my date, I can swing it. Then she tells me she just started seeing someone and asks if a friend can come with us. She really just tried to make me a third wheel on my own vacation. I have never had this happen before. Confused about how to respond. This was an hour ago. The audacity. Edit morning all. I never bought her ticket. I told her I'd consider buying her a ticket, so I was still in the planning stages to see if I wanted to bring her along and was looking at prices. She did not try to have me pay for her friend's airfare as well. Not that it makes me feel any better. Anyways, there won't be any more updates after this because obviously the answer is no, and I was just stunned at the audacity, not because I was considering it. Story 5. I did not drive anywhere, but asked a girl what she was doing later and she said, I like you as a friend. Focus your energy on girls who deserve your time and effort. Edit, we will still be friends, it was not a big deal. I have already joked about how shredded to pieces I am that she is not romantically interested in me. Haha. Story 6. I've had a friend for the past 2 years, and right from the start we hit it off immediately. We both got out of terrible relationships at roughly the same time, so nothing happened during our first meeting. She admitted to a mutual friend that she was interested in dating, but it was too soon. We've met up several times over the past 2 years, which is significant because the closest she's ever been to me is now, right at 6 hours away. Her family almost moved to a city 45 minutes away, but a job was offered 6 hours away. Each time I've let her know I'm still interested, but she says she isn't looking for anything, mostly because she's not been great since life has been difficult for her, involving family members and cancer. We're still good friends, though mostly we just send memes and have random chats over text. When we meet up, it's nonstop enjoyable company, and I can literally feel myself falling hard. I went on a road trip because I wanted to do something fun during a work vacation, so I went to visit her. It confirmed my feelings again. We're fantastic together and enjoy being around each other. But once again, she's not interested. It's like she's interested but not in relationships. I respect that and can't force anything. It's pretty obvious she's not seeing anyone. Even her mother has pulled me aside and wondered why we're not dating and implied I should wait for her. But it's been a case of right place, wrong time for this love story. Last time I decided to get back out there and move on, I was stood up by one girl. Another one led me on with breadcrumbs but then went silent when she found another guy. Another did the same thing, and the last time I tried with someone, I let myself get disinterested after being depressed about everything in my life, so I was the one who went cold turkey on her. But what do I know? I'm just tipsy over here and oversharing with you guys. Edit. This blew up with comments. Thanks for the encouragement, friends. Story 7. If it makes you feel any better, I once drove 2 hours to get my cup holder back from a girl I didn't want to see anymore. Left her place and drove 2 more hours to see the girl I did want to be with, except I was very timid, so I ended up with no one. Had I abandoned the cup holder, it would have been a 30-minute drive to see girl B. At least I had my cup holder. Story 8. When I got back into dating after a long-term relationship, a guy I was seeing casually called me over. I drank with him and we hooked up. He lasted about 15 seconds, then passed out. I sat on the floor watching TV for a few hours to sober up enough to go home. It really put things into perspective for me, and I ended it a few days later. He continued to try to contact me every weekend for a couple of months. Not nearly as bad, but hopefully you feel a little less alone. Story 9. Yikes, that sounds like the Dark Knight scene when Lau tells Fox, "I think a phone call would have sufficed. Did she want a closer look at your books?" Story 10. My female best friend blocked me 2 days ago, and I'm still processing this. She's most likely not mad at me, and this is probably just the start of one of her months-long offline modes, where she cuts off all contacts from the outside world. So yeah, I lost a friend for a few months. You made one. Story 11. Wait, you did something inappropriate, and now she's decided you're cool and wants to play Super Smash Brothers with you? Or you drove all that way with the mutual intention of being intimate, and she backed out at the last minute? Important distinction. One is awesome, the other might just be bad luck. It's possible you aren't as charming when you are that eager and think that something is guaranteed. Story 12. You just had bigger expectations for the things you are willing to do. It happens, and it's fine. A lot of people are disappointed every day. Shake it off and go on. Story 13. How old are you? No disrespect, but save your gas money and try somewhere closer. It is a waste of time, especially at a young age. Getting women makes you cringe when you are older. I've done very stupid things for women, and I've learned from it. But at least you know, and you won't make that mistake again. Story 14. Best advice I can give someone. If you're planning on driving over an hour away to meet up with someone, take care of yourself first and see how you feel afterward. If those feelings have changed, reconsider the trip. Story 15. It sucks, bro. But let me tell you, don't get discouraged and keep it up, man. You might have these rejections, but ultimately you're making progress toward finally finding that one and only. You'll look back, glad you risked certain things to find out all those other ones weren't the one. When I was in college, I spent around $2,000 to go to Japan for a girl, only to get friend-zoned. But I found my wife shortly after I got back. While it would have been nice to save the money, I think of it as payment to find my now wife. And I'd do it all again. Story 16. Today, I was just about to book a flight 4,000 miles away to visit a girl who just wants to be friends. We have some history and know each other. I kind of had a moment and I was like, what am I doing? Laughing out loud. Story 17. In my opinion, one of two things happened. Either you misread her signals and all she ever wanted was to be friends, or while you were there at her house, you did or said something that was off-putting to her, and she lost interest. Now you can either be her friend or just move on. Story 18. Oof. Bro. I am sorry. I almost got into a fist fight with another trucker. I drive a semi-truck and this guy cut me off, tried to get me to rear-end him, and then called my company and tried to get me fired. All because he had to slow down because I was speeding up. My fist is broken from my last fist fight and I was livid enough to hit him and re-break my hand. Then my girlfriend is having a mental health episode today and is using me as a punching bag. I'm trying to be supportive, but days like today are tough. I just made a nice drink, took a shower, got into some comfy pajama pants, and put on Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin. I do not know where you are, but I just cheers to you and wished you better luck in your future on your romantic front. But thanks for letting me vent. I hope you have a wonderful evening. Hang in there, my dude. Story 19. It's going pretty well, thanks. Good for her for setting that boundary, and good on you for being calm enough that she felt safe establishing it. Girls are out here getting harmed by people for saying no. We have to show them we're not all expectant, violent individuals. Story 20. Will somebody please start teaching the children that you absolutely do not drive any amount of hours to meet a girl so we can stop seeing this kind of disaster? Story 21. I don't want to be dismissive because I know that stings sharply. I once flew 600 kilometers to see a single girl who invited me, and by the time I got there, she had a boyfriend and wasn't interested anymore. We had been emailing for months and had great chemistry during other meetings. It was very awkward and painful, but it turns out I dodged a bullet and found someone far better several years later. As for today, it was a good day. They don't happen too often due to work and stress, but all my kids told me they love me today, and I helped my wife mop the whole house, which looks great now. Be happy with who you were first. It's the best advice I can give you. Life can be grand when you enjoy your own company because others will see that and follow suit eventually. Best wishes, mate. Story 22. On a long, arduous business trip from one city to another, the motor in the car broke down, got stuck in sweltering heat for hours, broke the bank withdrawing the money for the repairs, and I'm still not going to be able to make it home tonight. I have to withdraw my last bit of cash for a hotel. I desperately need to shower, run, and sleep. My legs are so dead from sitting all day, I think I might be turning into a zombie. Still, a better day than yours. Sorry, mate. Story 23. I was talking to a girl online for a month, unable to meet up due to COVID restrictions. She seemed super cool and interesting. Finally, we met up yesterday for 45 minutes of a date to realize there is zero spark. Nobody's fault, but it sucks. Story 24. I have a crush on someone who lives in another city. One day, I decided to surprise her and took a flight to meet her, which took 1 hour. When I arrived, I saw on her Instagram story that she had gone to another city to visit her parents. So, I was stuck in the city with nothing to do. I learned my lesson. Never again will I do a surprise visit like this. These days, I always give a week or a few days' notice if I plan to visit someone in another city. Story 25. Well, I've got no money and family, and I'm stuck in a career that I want to change because it's causing me a lot of stress. I'm seeing a therapist, but it doesn't help much. So I'm taking medication to stop thinking about suicide. The only things that keep me alive are my love for my fiancé and the medication because they prevent me from acting on suicidal thoughts. One day I fear I won't feel that way or might run out of medication. Story 26. Update. A female friend sent me a semi-naked picture, and I accidentally let her see it. Now, she is messaging boys and trying to make it obvious. Wish me luck, gentlemen. Story 27. Sorry that happened. Not a nice build-up at all. I hope you find that journey to be something more than nothing at all. Maybe you learned what it means to take risks and how much time you should give out. I did something similar in the past, but I went to the person's country after they weren't living in mine, and I took a 4-hour train to their area, thinking I would have a chance to make things work. Turns out it was awkward and nothing was solved. That was a terrible journey back to my country. I got over it after a few months, though. Well, I slipped into depression, which helped me get over it. Story 28. So before you drove 2 hours, did you have romantic or hookup vibes with this girl? And when you say she wants to be friends, is that as far as she is willing to go after meeting you? Was this the first time meeting her? Story 29. I traveled 15 hours to see a girl and stayed for 3 days in her city. She didn't come. Apparently, she was down with a fever. This was 7 years back. For today, I'm doing good. Story 30. Bro, I feel this. I once traveled for 3 hours to meet a girl with only a suitcase to my name. She said I should move in with her. She never showed. Edit. Yes, it was a catfish. For what, I have no idea. Attention, I guess. Story 31. I drove 2 hours to see a girl, but she passed out on Xanax when I got there before I could even figure out the apartment. So I got Taco Bell and drove home. Story 32. Used to drive 4 hours each way, so 8 hours total, every weekend to see my ex. She never once came to see me unless I made the 8-hour trip to pick her up and drive her back. Like during our first anniversary, where she complained about what I planned for us, a weekend out at a lake, the whole time. She dumped me over Discord and refused to give me any information as to what happened. I still had to make an 8-hour round trip to pick up my stuff from her place, but thank God my dad was willing to drive me, because I could not have handled that alone. She couldn't even look me in the eye when I was getting my stuff. I wish she would have told me she just wanted to be friends that first time I made the drive there. Story 33. Been dating my housemate for about 2 months now. We've been on maybe 10 dates, hooked up loads, etc. I hadn't spoken to her in maybe a week, so I messaged her to see what was going on. I didn't hear anything for another few days, then bumped into her in the kitchen and asked again to be told, "Oh, I don't talk to my friends all that often." Story 34. It's all about what mentality you're going there with. If it's to get laid or to get a girlfriend, you will, in most scenarios, get disappointed. If you go with the mentality that meeting new people is fun, you'll have a better time, make a friend, and have a higher chance of getting more. It's all about your mentality. I'd exchange 2 hours of my life for a new friend any day, anytime. Story 35. So, there's this girl who kept me around with maybe for almost a year. Then, she suddenly got engaged out of nowhere to another guy whose father owned a clothes shop. Fair enough. Then, that guy was awful and kept controlling her and even beating her. Yesterday, she broke the engagement and called me after not being in touch for about 2 years, asking me to reconsider being together with her, and if she could stay at my place for a few days. She did that to herself. I'm not interested.